Get out, get out, get out, Babylon a burn. Get out, get out, get out, Babylon a burn. Ah, ah, ah. Get out, get out, get out, Babylon a burn. Get out, get out, get out, Babylon a burn. Tribute, honor and respect to Jah Shaka, great, cool, roots, reggae warrior. Aya fire here in the heart of Jamaica, sending love to your beating heart. One love, truth, rights and justice for the indigenous people of the world. And that includes all of us really, because we're all from Mother Earth. And we all come from root cultures, indigenous cultures. This is Aya Fire, the human tree of life. We're burning them with love. We're burning them with love right now. Let's share some love. Let's share some love right now. Yesterday I heard the sad news. I didn't realize how much I loved Jah Shaka. I didn't realize how much influence he had on my life until I heard of his passing yesterday. I'm saddened, but at the same time, I know that he's dancing with the ancestors right now. The great Jah Shaka, the legendary Jah Shaka, the mystic warrior Jah Shaka. In case you don't know who he is, Jah Shaka came from here in Jamaica, this parish, Clarendon. At a young age, he went to England, the UK, and lived in London in the 60s and the 70s. At that time, there was a lot of racism in London, and there was a big divide between peoples, between English, European people and Jamaican, dark-skinned people who've been termed black and white. There was a division between black and white in London. In that time you had black areas where there were only black people, and white areas where there were only white people. Multiculturalism hadn't started yet in London. After the riots, the Brixton riots and other riots in London in the late 70s and the 80s, the British government decided on multiculturalism in London. So now when you go to London, black people and white people and Muslims and Russians and everybody lives together. But when I grew up in London in the 70s and the 80s, you had black areas and you had white areas. Jah Shaka sound system was based in Dalston. But his style of playing music was different from all the other sound systems in London. You had these big sound systems. You used to play vinyl records, massive speakers, 18-inch speakers, heavy bass, sirens and echoes and all kinds of effects. But Jah Shaka took this to another level. He took the culture of the sound system, which started in Jamaica, and made it into something mystical. My personal experience with Shaka. My father died when I was 9 years old. My father was a Rasta from here in Jamaica, in Clarendon. And growing up in London, I wanted to be like him. I wanted to be a Rasta, but I didn't really know much about it. My mother used to send me down to Jamaica every year, so I started to learn some of the culture in Jamaica. My mother was a white European lady from London, and my dad was a dark-skinned Rasta, Jamaican from Clarendon. So I was mixed race. And when I went to school, you had two different sides. At that time, there was no mixing. You had the Jamaican kids, the black kids on one side of the school, and then you had the white kids on the other side of the school. And me being mixed race, I was only accepted by the black kids as being one of them. I could hang out with the white kids, but I wasn't accepted. They saw me as black. So I naturally went to the black side. I had a spiritual heart, and I needed to express my spiritual self, but I had nowhere to really express it. I used to read the Bible, I used to read books. But it was when I discovered Jah Shaka sound system at the age of 14 in a club in Dalston, London. A Rasta friend of mine, another youth, about the same age as me, two of us, we went there, two young Rasta children. And this club, it had an upstairs where they played soul music, normal reggae, but downstairs in the basement was where Shaka played. There was no windows. It's hard to describe, but it was a really mystical place. It was full of Rastas all jumping around, jumping up and down to the music. Their locks whipping in the air. If you're not careful, if you weren't careful, you'd get whipped in the face by a lock. People were just crazy. It was a mystical, it was like whirling dervishes or something. It was like people in spirit jumping up all night to roots, Rasta, reggae. Really loud with really heavy bass and sirens blaring, and Jah Shaka there with his back to the audience facing a big picture of Selassie and playing his music and talking on the mic and singing. And everything that Jah Shaka said and sung was always something spiritual. It was always like a psalm from the Bible or praise Jah. He was always praising. It was a truly mystical experience for me as a 14-year-old boy in London, seeking spirituality and not really having anywhere to go. There was no centers for Rastas. You know, in the world, a lot of people have a spiritual heart, but a lot of the time they don't have anywhere to go to develop their spirituality. I mean, at the time in London there was churches, but I never really related to the churches with their belief that if you weren't baptized, your soul would go to hell for eternity, and all this archaic, insipid belief that was given to the people of the Caribbean by the slave masters. But when I found Jah Shaka, I found a spiritual center, a place where I could go. This club was like a church, and my mom used to say to me, "Oh, you're going to your church now?" And I used to go on Friday night. And later my wife used to say the same thing. She used to say, "Oh, you're going to your church." It wasn't like a club, it was more like a church. It was like a temple. It was a spiritual experience, mystic spiritual experience, which completely supplied my spiritual needs at the time. It was just what I needed as a youth growing up. Somewhere where I could go and just be lost in the music. spiritual music. Jumping up and down all night to the rhythms. I used to stay there till the morning. When I used to come out of the club, it was daylight. I was just a little kid. A lot of the time, people used to see me because I was quite short, you know, I wasn't fully grown. And Rastas would see me and give me a lift home. I remember Dr. Alimantado gave me a lift home one time. I met Johnny Clark, who's another famous singer there. And I met Twinkle Brothers and other well-known roots, reggae, Rasta artists. At that time in Jah Shaka, there was no Europeans. There was only Caribbean community. The irony is now that before his death, if you was to go to a Shaka session, a Shaka dance, it's mostly white people now. And a lot of sounds have been influenced by Jah Shaka in England, in the UK, in London. Now, you have Earthquake, Abashanti, Tribulation Sound, and many others who play a similar sound to Jah Shaka. They have a similar sound. It's now called UK Roots. But the irony is now that when you go to one of these roots dances in England, it's mostly white people. The black community no longer supports that type of music. You might see a few old Rastas from back in the day. Jah Shaka, he will really be missed. I didn't realize his strength. I didn't realize his mystic qualities. I didn't realize his influence on me until I heard of his death yesterday. Jah Shaka is a true mystic warrior in the tradition of people like Bob Marley, Prince Emmanuel, all the great Rasta leaders. I put him in the forefront. He's the main influence, the main Rasta influence to come out of England. Even though he was born in Jamaica, he came to England at a young age and he grew up in England and his sound system was in England. And the style of music that he developed and promoted became exclusively English in a sense. So it's the English Rastas' contribution to the mystic revelation of Rastafari. Jah Shaka's name will go down in the Rasta Book of Life as one of the great elders and inspirers of Rasta people all around the world. A lot of people are rocking to his style of music and don't realize that it was Jah Shaka who originated this style of music. In South Africa, the sound systems play in a similar way to Shaka, and they dance in a similar way. Jah Shaka's appearance was mystical. He had really piercing eyes, high cheekbones, very penetrating look, very strong character, very spiritual. Kind of person who looked like he would never lose his temper, but don't get on his wrong side. I remember there's a song by Johnny Clark, went something like, Hail Jah Shaka is a serious warrior. Hail Jah Shaka is a real cool warrior. Hail Jah Shaka is a real cool warrior. And Jah Shaka used to sing as well. I always remember him singing, Get out, get out, get out, Babylon a burn. Get out, get out, get out, Babylon a burn. Ah, out, get out, get out, Babylon a burn. Get out, get out, get out, Babylon a burn. There's no place I would rather be than with His Imperial Majesty. Get out, get out, get out, Babylon a burn. Mighty Jah Shaka, mystic warrior, thank you for your contribution to the world and to Rasta people and spirituality in general. Your character is exemplary. You're a true natural mystic. I thank you, Jah Shaka, for your influence on my life and the world. I'm really thankful. Honor to Jah Shaka, mystic warrior. Peace and love.